This is going to be completely improv because that's what creation is. Creation is basically improving everything. From coming up with an idea for a drawing, from writing a story, from being a voice actor, to building something with your hands, from guitars to CNC machining, which is what I do for a living, from fixing a Harley Davidson, which I also did for a living, from cooking in a 4-star restaurant, which I also did for a living when I was very young. But it all comes down to ideas. Ideas come from curiosity. If you're ever stuck for an idea on doing something, a drawing, a story, or whatever, go back to your curiosity, okay? Because everyone will go, I can't come up with an idea. How do you come up with ideas? People come to me all the time. It's like, how do you come up with an idea? Or they go to my artist friends. How do you come up with an idea? Well, you come up with an idea by being curious about the world around you. And it could be anything. Wow, how does that bird fly? How am I going to draw the wings of that bird flying? Go look at Baron Engel's art, because he's amazing at it. Go look at a natural, I mean, we have so many things that we can look up nowadays, right? When I grew up, there was no World Wide Web. There was no website I could go see how a bird flies in slow motion to get that idea. I had to go watch a bird up in the trees and hopefully catch 3 seconds of it going, oh, wow, that's how it works. But we have so many things that we can go look up nowadays. So much easier. Okay, so like I said, this is gonna be until I get started, it's gonna be a little stuff. This is a bunch of stuff that they gave me to riff on. Like, here's a pair of ears, here's a pillow, here's a scanner gun, a little Among Us guy, a microphone, some other pieces of the stuff. What could we do with these things to come up with an idea, right? So we could write a story about these things, how they interact with our characters. Maybe our character is very, likes to be hygienic, right? Brushes his teeth 4 or 5 times a day. That's a quirk we could put in our story. Games all the time. Usually has like a thing hanging off their pants all the time, like I do. But could be really into this game, which could be a quirk that they can't get a job because they're a gamer all the time, right? It's a bad flaw in their characterization. Or like the ears. A lot of kids in Japan now wear these all the time, right? In their everyday lives. That could be a quirk in your story to your character. Narcoleptic, sleeping all the time. Going to his job, takes a pillow with him everywhere because he never knows when he's going to actually fall asleep. It happens. My twin brother is actually a narcoleptic. He almost killed me once because of it. We were driving home from work one night, and it was his turn to drive at 2 a.m., and I'm sleeping in the passenger seat. Car goes down into a ditch, hits the end of the ditch, goes kabang, 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 and ends up in the center of the street because he fell asleep driving. I was like, we were headed for a building. Thank God it went this way. But things like that are all around you, right? So you can take inspiration from the news. Say that you want to do a song, right? So you can talk to the guys, I'm sure everybody who talked to all of the guys earlier today, where they come up with ideas for their songs, right? So yeah, you want to do a pony song, but maybe put it in the Fallout universe. Is that going to be a happy song? Probably not. So you pick your chord progression to whatever feeling you want to give to that song. Or, let's see. The news isn't really great lately, is it? The world seems to be at war, seems to be on fire. all the time. So maybe you want to write a happy story about maybe what's going on in the world, maybe the war that's over there in Ukraine. You write a happy story about a couple that meets each other, little Romeo and Juliet kind of thing. And here's another thing about stories and ideas. There's only about 10 stories in the world, 10 versions of stories. So if you think, man, I can't come up with anything original, nobody does. It's all been done. Come up with a different way to tell the story that other people have told. That's where you get your ideas. That's where you get your thing. If you read a lot of books, like I do, you'll notice by the 5th chapter, well, this is a story that's going to end like this because I've read it 15 times. But that author might tell that story just a little bit differently. And that's what makes a novel good or a novel just another novel. So come up with a new way to tell that story, or a new way to draw a pony. Look at Imalu. Imalu is making her art in a different way to a point that Hasbro said, you know what, I'm going to make a movie on your art because we love the way your art looks. It's going to look great on film. So we're going to bring you in. And it worked, didn't it? Awesome. So everybody who is doing art or something out there is doing it just a little bit differently than the person next to them, because it's all been done before. So don't put too much pressure on yourself to come up with that rah-rah something new. Look at Facebook. You know what Facebook is? Facebook is just another news group. It's just news group with pictures. So basically, some guys programmed up a news group with pictures, and it became Facebook. And all of a sudden, those guys are billionaires because they did something that was already done and put a tweak on it. In fact, if you go to copyright law, you can do the same thing that somebody else did and tweak it in 2 different ways, and you can copyright that. You can trademark it. The same thing works with trademark. You can come up with the same thing and put a couple of tweaks in it, as long as it's, I think it's can't remember, I don't know the word right now, but if it's different in 2 different ways, it's not derivative. It's something different and new. So you can actually trademark that and make money on it, even though it seems to be somebody else's stuff, but you make 2 little changes on it. That's the way it goes. Look at Leonardo da Vinci. We're here in Italy, right? Leonardo da Vinci. If he wasn't a really great painter, that he was everybody wanted him to paint everything. He painted the Sistine Chapel, he painted the Last Supper, but if he wasn't a very good artist or painter, and he had all these really crazy ideas for all these crazy machines, they'd have put him in a nut house. But they wanted him around to paint. At least that's what I think. But if you look at all of his machines, back in those days, everybody would have thought, man, you're nuts. You're crazy. But look at all these things he came up with. And what was he doing? Really? He was trying to copy nature. These weren't new ideas. This was a man trying to do what nature did. He was trying to fly. Most of his machines look like birds. He was trying to copy what a bird did or a bat did, except for like his helicopter, the big screw thing. Because he thought that air was water. And he thought you could put a screw in water and it would go up in the air. But he figured out that didn't work. Again, trial and error. And that's the same thing that happens with ideas, right? You can use your curiosity to come up with an idea. Try it. Don't say, well, that's not really a good idea. I'm not going to try that. Well, guess what? It might be a good idea, but you will never know unless you try it. Because I am a maker. How many people are makers here? Just, you know what a maker is. Basically, I have to make something. Don't know what it is, care what it is, but I got to make it. Thank you. So, I thought to myself, I love making things. I love tearing things apart. When I was a kid, I tore apart my lawnmower. I tore apart things my dad didn't want me to tear apart. Never put them back together, but I tore them apart. When I was older, I put them back together. But I loved music. I drummed a little bit. I can't play guitar because I have a broken forearm, but I loved guitars and the way they're made, especially wooden guitars. They're gorgeous, they're beautiful. Lyres, things like that. And I thought, how could I do that? How can I do that? And then I saw people making guitars out of cigar boxes. I went, oh wow, that is cool. It's 3 strings, easier to play, they're gorgeous. And I thought, how could I be different in making a guitar? Well, one, I make my own boxes. I don't use a cigar box, I make my own box from actual wood. Then when I make the neck, I put a piece of brass in it, this long, that thick, which gives the guitar heft. Makes it feel like a guitar. Gives it some body, some substance. And that actually makes it sound better. Then, what can I do to actually make it even more? I'll just put ponies on them. What the heck? And now I just do it for fun. It took me 4 or 5 iterations of my cigar box guitar style. Now I've got it down to a science. I know exactly what I'm going to do to build one. But it took me about 5 times to make it right. And that'll happen also with your ideas. You'll say, okay, I've got this idea, and I'll start writing my story, if you're a writer. And you'll write your outline, and you'll look at it and go, that doesn't quite work. This little thing over here is a hanging chad, it doesn't work. Maybe I'll throw that out. Maybe this character over here doesn't get its happy ending over here. Let's try it again. And you'll rewrite that outline 4 or 5 times, maybe 6 times, until you get what you feel is right. Then you'll start writing it. And maybe it still won't be correct. Then you'll have to go back and fix it again. I used to work for Mercedes Lackey. Anybody know who that is? Science fiction writer. I was her bodyguard for 5 years. And she would normally write a novel about 4 times. And she was good. She could do it in 4 times. Some people do it 6 or 7. But a very prolific writer. If you go to a bookstore, look her up. But even a professional writer would write her novel 4 times, then send it into her editor, and she'll say, this doesn't work, write it again. And this is a person who has 30 novels at Barnes & Noble. You'd think that she knew what she was doing by now. Well, no, sometimes she gets it wrong. But if you don't take your idea and expand on it, you're not going to get from here to here. So don't feel constrained by, I don't think my idea is good enough. Just do it. Okay? Don't feel that you're not good enough to take your idea and get it off the ground. I mean, look at Bill Gates, right? Weird guy, had this idea. Now he's Bill Gates. But you never know what's going to hit and what's not. You never know. Look, let me think. Look at Twitter, right? When Twitter first came out, who thought, who's going to use this thing, right? Now it's ubiquitous. I mean, I don't think the world could live without it. Like the internet, right? When the internet first came out, it was basically a way to connect computers in the military across big, long distances. It was called ARPANET. And all it did was connect like 7 computers around universities in the United States. Now, as the human thing, we couldn't live without the internet. Couldn't live without it. It completely connects everything in our world. But somebody had the idea to connect all of these computers to get them to talk to each other. And all of a sudden, we've got the entirety of the world on our phones. So don't think that your idea isn't worth at least checking out, trying. What if, I need planets to talk to each other. How would I do that? Maybe, just go down whatever path. Let's see, what else can we talk about? You know what? I'm going to say, who here has an idea they think is kind of idiotic? Who here has an idea that they don't think is good? What's your idea? Developing what? A library for your work. Okay. Why do you think that's a bad idea?
Because there are existing so much libraries.
Okay, but what about your library is different from the libraries that are already out there that you think is going to be better?
That's the question I don't know.
That's the question you don't know. But you have the idea to do it. And you think you can do it better, right? So what you would do is go look at the other libraries that are out there, and what are they not giving you that you need in your job? And then you change it. And maybe your idea is better than all of these that have been done before, and yours will end up being Twitter. And the world will use your version because yours is better because it has that one idea that makes it more usable and easy. So don't give up on that idea. How about you?
It was exactly what you said. It's very, the more I read, the more I realize it has been done before.
That is true. How many people have read or seen Romeo and Juliet in every piece of media that's out there these days? Cartoons, big budget movies, books. Everybody's done the Romeo and Juliet thing. Perfect pair. Everybody's done it. Doesn't mean you can't. Just means you have to do it differently. Right? So come up with an idea of how to do it differently. Don't have the two families or whatever, right? Come up with a different way to tell Romeo and Juliet. And people are doing it every day. Every day. You go to a big bookstore, right? It's full of all of these books. They got to come from somewhere. Somebody's got to be writing them. So write the book. It might not be the best book. The first book you write is not going to be good. If you've never done it before, you're going to throw that away. But you flex this muscle and this muscle on how you tell a story, how you write a book. As a voice, I'm going to tell you my own story. As a voice actor, I did all of this stuff. I did my Stay Brony My Friend show. I got in good with all the voice actors, all the agents. They said, you've got an excellent voice. You seem to know what acting is. Why don't you try some of these things? It's okay. So I had a friend of mine who wrote books. And he sold them on Amazon and all these places. And he came to me and he said, hey, you want to do my books? So I've never done that before. But sure, I'll try. The first one I did, I had no idea what I was doing. None. I got Reaper, which is a recording program, and I read every chapter 3 times. Then I edited those 3 times into one take. And then I mastered that take. Then I sent it off to the author to have him check it. He never checked them. He just took it, put it straight up so that it could be bought. So I thought that I was getting checked on what I was doing. So it took me months to do it this way. I had no idea I was doing it incorrectly. None. I talked to Vincent Tong about it, of how I was doing. He said, dude, why are you working so hard? You should talk. If you make a mistake, stop, back up, stop, back up, stop, back up, and then you've got one take that you like, instead of having to do all this editing and all this time, right? I sent in that first book, and in chapter 7, you can hear me take a drink because I didn't catch it. And when I sent stuff off to the author, I thought he was checking. And at that point, I had done so much work to get to chapter 7, I just wanted this book done. So I wasn't spending as much time as I should on my editing. And shit slipped in. Sorry for my... That book, I am embarrassed by that read, but it's there. It's part of my past. I did 2 more books for him. Each successive book was better. I developed character voices that I have to this day that I can use in other projects, which I do use in other projects. I'm using one voice in Crusader's new project. I'm using one voice in News from the Bunker right now. But if I hadn't done those 3 books, I wouldn't be as good an actor as I am today. Because my idea of how I do voice acting got better the more I did it. So, again, ideas. Come back to ideas. I was curious as to how to do an audiobook. Not quite curious enough, because I thought I knew, but I didn't. But as I did it, my curiosity developed my idea on how this is done, which now gave me how I edit my voice for projects I'm doing today. I have an actual, this pre-made, what I put in for effects, what I put in for all of my editing. I go, click, here's my voice, I send it off to people, and they love it, because I did all of this work on my idea to get me here. So basically what I'm trying to say is, don't give up on your ideas, because they suck now. Because sooner or later, they're not gonna suck, because you can get better at it. And as you develop an idea, you'll end up, hey, I developed that idea, I can develop this idea, or that idea, or my friend has an idea and I can help him develop it. Because now I get friends coming to me going, how do I voice act? It's like, well, you do it this way, because I made those steps, and now I can take what I know and give it away, and give it to people. Okay, anybody else with an idea? Don't be shy. It could be the dumbest thing in the world, and we'll develop it. Okay, here we go. Nobody wants to talk, right? Okay, what do you got?
I think I've done something that nobody has been kind of done for 20 years, and it's basically sentence mixing voice lines from video games, especially a Half-Life one. And for the life of me, I think I could run that thing to the ground.
Okay.
I started hardcore, and I am stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no innovation, no novelty about it. It's just, I'm scared that I'm giving up.
Okay. First thing you said was Half-Life. Half-Life is 10 years ago. Half-Life's not coming back. So, again, when we go to ideas, there is a time when you have to know when to give up on an idea, okay? When, again, Half-Life it's done, right? When I was a project manager at Custom Chrome, which made product for Harley Davidsons, right? We had a bunch of guys come in who bought the place. They were from Detroit. And they thought that Harley Davidson business was like Ford, GM, Chevy. You had big cycles and you had years to bring out a product. It's like, no. Harley Davidson business is Italian fashion. If you're not ahead of the curve, you're behind it. If you're not coming out with new stuff every year, you're going out of business. And you couldn't tell them that because they were stuck in their ways. But I would take ideas from our designers, have to get that over to where we were making things like Taiwan, Mexico City, South Korea, get samples back, test them on motorcycles, say that's okay, get pictures taken, put them in a catalog, all before the end of the model year. And I was doing that with about 57 different products all the time. But each one of those products has an end of life cycle, because they either fit model years that end up getting cut off and they don't make that motorcycle anymore, or the fashion changes. Nobody wants this gas tank anymore. They want that gas tank, because this gas tank is sold last year, because it's a fashion industry. Same thing with ideas. Ideas have a shelf life. Sooner or later, you're going to have to change product, and that's a product life. Like if you go into the dealer's hall, for many, many years, buttons were the thing. Everybody wanted their buttons, right? Now buttons are, If it's a really cute button, people will buy it. But I've had the same buttons for like 4 or 5 years. Nobody buys my buttons anymore. I can give them away. Nobody really wants them. Closentine pins, enamel pins. Sooner or later, that cycle will go down, because everybody has every pin they ever want at that point. They have every character they want. So if you're not doing something innovative in pins, like huge or two-piece or whatever, all of a sudden that life cycle is going to go away. You'll need a different idea. So what I'm trying to say about your idea with Half-Life is that end of cycle idea. You've beat your head against this idea for a long time, and you've lost interest in the idea. So maybe it's better for you to say, I'm done with this idea. I've done everything I can with this idea, but it didn't work. So I don't want to use more brain power on this when I can come up with a better new idea and move forward. And instead of working on Half-Life, work on some other game that interests you today. It's,
Well, my specific thing is that I take the voice line from the game and I make it the same.
yes.
That's the thing. I've been doing it for the majority of 4 to 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a friend of mine that gave me a lot of ideas.
Mm-hmm.
I put them in practice, but I'm not in contact with that friend anymore.
Okay.
And I tried to do it on my own,
Mm-hmm.
which has worked for a while. But I mean, I'm not even saying the analytics show that nobody cares anymore, but I don't put as much effort as I did.
Mm-hmm.
And what I wanted to say is, you know about the new artificial intelligence voices?
Yep.
15 AI, for
Yep.
example.
Yep.
Well, the box voice for Half-Life is in the 15 AI
Okay.
generation. But before that, you have to do everything manually.
Mm-hmm.
A library of 600 words to work with.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to do everything manually. It would take me days to make these videos.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't feel like spending so much time on something that can be done in 5 minutes with another program.
Then don't. Move on. You can either use the AI program and move on from what you did, use the AI program and make it easier for yourself, because there's a new tool. Okay, so here's your end of life cycle, right? You don't get any joy out of doing that anymore. Stop. If it doesn't make you happy or give you joy, stop. That's why I don't do Stay Brony, my friends, anymore. Because at the end of it, it didn't give me joy to do. It was nothing but a chore. And then my co-host, Screwy, wanted to go and play video games. I caught him playing video games in the middle of a show. And I had a long talk with him. I said, dude, we can't do that. You're either here or you're not. He said, well, I'm really done. It's like, if you're done, we're done. Because he was a major character in that show, and I couldn't replace him. It's okay, we're done. So we did 2 more shows that we had scheduled, and we stopped. But everybody keeps asking me, when are you going to bring that show back? It's like, I'm not going to bring the show back, because it was a lot of work to do. And now I'd have to restart with new tools, because I was doing things with Skype back then. Skype doesn't exist anymore. I'd have to figure out how to do it with Discord, which I hate that program, with a passion. So if I wanted to do Stay Brony, my friends, I would have to completely revamp it. on how it was done. Plus, I'd have to come up with new animations. I have to come up with new everything. I don't have that kind of time in my life anymore. So that idea reached the end of its shelf life. It's done. If I want to do something new, if I get the new idea, I'll put it into that, right? If I want to do a new talk show, I'll come up with a new format that's fun for me to do. So if you aren't having any fun doing that, you're done. Just, I don't have to do this anymore. I can come up with a new idea. Go on to another new, look at what Armageddon is doing with AI 15. He's doing his animations, but he's using AI 15 as the voices. He doesn't need voice actors anymore. He's putting out animations once a week, making money on YouTube. Because you ever watch one of his work videos? It's hilarious watching them work. He's having so much fun doing it. Maybe if you use the AI 15, it'll put the joy back in what you were doing, instead of having to cut all this stuff up by hand. Uh-huh.
I'm not going to say what song it is, but it's packed and it's rap.
Okay.
And I thought to myself, when I do that, I'm done.
Okay.
And it's been 2 years since that it's been sitting there just on for it.
Okay. I'm going to say something really edgy. Is that project giving you joy? Or is it a drag on you? If you want to be done with it, you're already done. You're already done. No, don't screw the final product. If you're not putting your 100% into it, it's not going to be worth finishing, because you're going to half-ass it, and it's not going to be good. You're done with that project. Doesn't matter how much time and effort you already put into it, it's over. Done. Take the file and get rid of it, because it's not giving, I can see it in your eyes. You do not want to finish that project. You don't want to go work on it, because it's doing nothing but dragging you down. It's keeping you from having a new idea. It doesn't matter. And on top of that, it's half-life. It's so far in the past, no one's going to even care when it's done. It's over. End of life. Take that file when you get home, put it in the trash can, and shit can it. Because the chip on that shoulder is just going to go away, and you're going to go, I can do something new that I'm going to enjoy. It doesn't, and you didn't lose anything by doing that, because all of the things that you learned in doing that project up to that point, you still have. Okay? You didn't lose anything. You gained a lot by doing that. Yeah, you didn't finish it, but I don't have to now. I've still got everything that I learned in my ideas, and I can take that to my new idea. So, and that gets us to the next point. Not every idea needs to be finished. Not every idea is the golden standard. Go ahead.
Can you describe the first feeling you have when you have an idea which catches you?
Oh yeah, I have OCD and ADHD. If I have an idea, I won't eat. I won't sleep, and I won't drink. I've had friends go, have you eaten today or yesterday? I have to think about that. Probably not. Because I'll go to work, and I'll work. I'll go home, work on my guitar, go to bed at like midnight, get up, go to work at 7, work all day, come home, work on whatever guitar thing, and then go to bed. And sometimes I won't eat, because I need to see that thing done. I need to see that idea at least fleshed out. Going, is that actually going to work? And I've been working on the Gallicon guitar for their charity auction for about 6 months, because I've had to restart it because I screwed it up. I had to restart it. Now I'm on a deadline, and I got to get this thing done in 10 weeks, and I'm here. But I'm doing this guitar based on Canny Soda, their character. So it's based on Fanta. I'm thinking to myself, you know what? What can make this guitar really stand out, make it different? And I thought about that for months as I'm building the guitar. Because sometimes as I'm building the guitar, the idea will come to me as I'm building it, because I'm in the moment. And at the end of a guitar, you have the string bridge, and then you have what holds the strings at the end of a guitar, right? And I thought to myself, how could I be different? Because I make these little things that go on the Princess guitars, but I've done that. I need something different. This guitar is based on soda. And I thought about this for months. I'm going, what could hold those and make it really cool? And it came to me about a week ago. The wall-mounted Coca-Cola bottle opener. Right? I'll put that at the end of the guitar, put 3 holes in it, put the strings through it, and that way with your guitar you could open a soda. Wouldn't that be cool? So I went and got a base one without Coca-Cola on it, so I could actually test my idea. Then, as I'm going through eBay, I'm going, oh, here's one with the word Fanta on it, in orange. And I bought that immediately. So I'm going to make that idea work if it kills me. And right now, I'm going nuts because I'm not at home trying to make that work right now. I'm here. But I know how I'm going to make it work. Because I'm going to take it to work, and I'm going to put it in the milling machine and make my 3 holes, and then I'm going to test it, and it's all going to work. I know it's going to work. Because I've done enough of this stuff to know that that idea is going to work. But now I'm excited about it. After going, how's this going to work? How's this going to work? I'm sort of losing my idea. How's this going to work? Oh my God, I've sent this lid off to My Little Ties. I hope that art works. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm re-energized. I know this is going to work. I know it's going to look great. People are going to love it. Because I came up with an original idea about how that's going to work. Because I've never seen another cigar box guitar that can open a soda. I bet you haven't either. And that's sort of where it goes with me, right? If I come up with something, when I was a very young man, still living with my parents, I went and bought myself a drawing desk because I was really into drawing. So I would sit down after school before I had to go to work and draw. And I'd draw, and I'd draw, and I'd draw, and I'd draw. Then it was late to get to work. And then I'd go to work, come home, draw until like 2 in the morning, get up, go to school, go to work, come home, draw. And I wouldn't eat for days because my OCD was going, I got to get this out of my head, I got to get this out of my head, I got to get this out of my head. And I wasn't a really great artist. I was okay, but I wasn't really great. But I just got to get these ideas out of my head. I'm better now. Now it takes days for it to get out of my head instead of hours. But that's sort of what happens when you get the really great idea. I'm sure that when you were doing your Half-Life stuff before AI-15, that was the thing you really wanted to do. It was really fun, it was funny, you had a great time. But now, you've been doing it for so long, you're over it. And I want you to go home and I want you to throw that away and come up with a new idea and re-energize yourself into having fun with your making and what you're doing and your ideas. Okay? And if we're not having fun doing this, what's the point? What's the point? Why are you beating your head against the wall, not having fun, when you come up with a better new idea that is fun and re-energizes you and says, I really want to do this? You know, I was on top of the brony world doing Stay Brony, my friends, and then it wasn't fun anymore. Then I was forcing myself to do it for other people, right? Not for me anymore. When I first did it, I wanted to be David goddamn Letterman of the brony fandom without a band. That's what Stay Brony, my friends, was based on, was a late night talk show. But I didn't have a band. I wanted to do it live with all those guys that are musicians as my side band. They would play people up on stage, and I'd have a couch, and I'd have Screwball there, and we'd do the whole thing. And we were going to do it until right at the end, Screwball wanted to leave. I was like, that was it. That would have re-energized me if I got to do that. I would have been able to do it at every convention because it would have hit. Everyone would have loved it. But that's life. And sometimes life just bitch slaps you. You're in the middle of something that you love doing, but you lose your job, crash your car, somebody in the family dies. Shit happens. So sometimes you have to put that idea aside for a minute and go, I'm going to come back to that. And that's sort of what happened with my guitars. I had to get this thing done for Gallicon, but my dad died this spring. And I had to get through that. You'll notice that I'm put on a little bit of extra weight since the last time you saw me. Stress eating. But I'll get back to my healthy things. But I had to get through this. Now I'm coming out the other side. So now my ideas are coming back. That's why I came up with the idea for the string mount on my guitar, because my ideas are coming back. Sometimes you do have to take a break, right? And someone with ADHD, it's hard for me to say that. It really is. Sometimes you have to go, I love this idea, but I need to take a break. And sometimes artists do that. You get art block, right? That's sort of what art block is. You've been going for so long, all of a sudden your brain goes, I need to take a break. I can't really think right now. Or my wrist hurts because I've been doing this for so long. Professionals use wrist braces and all that stuff. But sometimes you have to not force it also when you get an idea or try to get an idea. But that brings us back to, if I have art block and I can't come up with an idea, maybe I go back to my curiosity, which we talked about at the beginning, right? So I want to be curious as to how my favorite artist or my favorite writer wrote the story. So I'll go read that story and leave my idea to the side while I'm trying to figure out what they did. And then use maybe something that they did in my idea. Happens all the time. If you read comic books, happens all the time. Everybody's riffing on each other. Same thing with novels. People are riffing on each other all the time. So, and it goes back to, there's no original ideas anymore. The first caveman who ever made the wheel watched a round thing roll down a hill and copied it and made a wheel. There's no new ideas. There's not. If anybody says that you're copying somebody, you go, yeah, I'm taking inspiration from that. Don't copy it 100%, but take inspiration from other people. I was inspired by Stan Sakai as an artist, and he did Ozagi Ojimbo, who's been doing it as an independent comic book for 40 years to this year. And I started, almost everything I drew was exactly how he drew. But then I developed my own style after copying him for a little while, figuring out how he did it. And then I did my own style. And that's not a bad thing. Everyone goes, don't copy anybody 100%. Well, when you're learning to draw, that's okay. Don't try to sell it, because don't do that. But figure out how somebody's doing something and then try to put that into your own style. This is practice. This is you. There's a saying in artists' circles, especially drawing, there are 10,000 bad drawings in your drawing hand. The sooner you get them out, the better. Keep doing it. Keep drawing. Keep coming up with ideas. Keep coming up with everything. You'll see a bunch of artists nowadays just doing sheets full of Zip, or sheets full of Izzy, or sheets full of Rainbow Dash, because they're trying to get all these bad drawings out of their arms so they can get to the good stuff. When I started drawing, I had a clipboard with typing paper on it, and all I do was this. Sketch, 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 throw it away, sketch, 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 throw it away. And that's another thing about ideas. Be unafraid to take an idea or a sketch or something you were building that isn't working, throw it away. Don't be scared of it, because more will come. You'll never be out of ideas, because we're humans. This thing's working all the time. All the time. And every now and then you'll just go, oh my God, I just came up with an idea. I better write that down. And it might happen in the middle of the night. You're dreaming something, right? something weird. Like this weekend, I've had the weirdest dreams. I dreamt that a flying squirrel was riding a MotoGP bike, and for some reason he had to go down a spiral staircase. So he grabs it with his paw as he holds the bike with his legs, and he goes, and off he goes. And I woke up and went, where the hell did that come from? But I might use it in a story someday. Who knows? But don't be afraid to throw things away. That's probably the stupidest idea in the world to try and come up with a story for. Okay, just throw that away. Subconscious, I had too much pizza, I guess. I don't know. That's all I've had here is pizza for like a week. I'm almost getting sick of pizza. But no, it's I know I'm rambling, okay? I said I would ramble. I said this was going to be an improv show. I don't even know what time it is. Haven't even been watching. 10 minutes left, awesome. Look, I can ramble for an hour. When you've been on stage enough, you'll ramble. And again, I wasn't very good at this, talking to people, until John Delancey put me on stage. Actually, here's how it went. First time doing this. We were at Las Pegasus Unicon. Anybody remember that? Dumpster fire? And Lee Tokar comes up to me. He says, you know that charity auction we're going to do to try to get people paid? He does it so like, you know that we're going to do to get paid? I said, yeah. Well, I'm supposed to be the auctioneer, and I'll do it, no problem. I had no idea what I was doing. But I said yes. Because you get more saying yes than saying no. Always try to say yes to most things. And as he's walking away, he comes back and goes, oh, by the way, you're going to be doing it with John Delancey. And Power walks away from me. I start freaking out. Because I know who John Delancey is. Because I'm a Star Trek nerd. Oh my God, John Delancey's going to be on stage with me. I'm freaking out. So I go up there, and I come up with the whole keep your hand up until thing. So if you've ever seen one of my charity auctions, I say keep your hand up until you don't want to pay that number, and you put your hand down. I came up with that on the spot because we needed to hustle. It's the only way I could thought to do it. And then John is late. He comes up and does Vanna White for a little bit while I'm doing the auctioning. Then he comes up into my ear and says, you're doing a great job. I'm going to go in the front row and watch you for a while. Okay. And he did. He sat right there and watched me. And every now and then I would catch him. He's actually watching what I'm doing. And I'm freaking out, but I did it. And we did the whole thing. And at the end of it, he comes up to me and he says, that was amazing. That's pure improv. You did wonderfully. Keep doing that. And I got that from John fucking Delancey. And at that point, I knew that I was supposed to be here doing whatever I do. Because I have no idea what I'm doing half the time. I get up on stage in front of you guys, and I'm riffing on what you give me. Right? I did 10 minutes on your story. I did 3 on yours. I did some on yours. I had no idea what you were going to say. None. Happens the same thing in a charity auction. I have no idea what's going to come at me. But I have enough time on the stage that I can usually weasel my way out of it. And that comes from an idea. I had no idea what this was going to be until I did it. Now I have an idea on how to entertain you people, how to keep you interested in what I do and make you laugh. But before I got up here, no idea. Now I have an idea. And that comes from what? Doing it. So don't be scared of writing the novel. Don't be scared of drawing that piece you think you can draw better than anybody else. Don't be scared of building something and screwing it up. Because that's the first step to learning how not to screw it up. And that's my panel. Thank you all for coming. I think everything else is closed down. I think the dealers hall is closing down. We'll see you tomorrow. Dealers opens at 9. I'm on stage twice tomorrow, one interviewing Amalu and one for the charity auction. So if you want to come get something from me, do it early, because I'll probably not be in that room half the time tomorrow. All right? Love you all. Have a great night.